New towns is a spatial concept which focuses on the building of entirely new cities. But how can we define the term new town? To answer that question, we should ask what goes, where, and why. The answer to the question of what can be multiple things, for example, grouping homes, industrial plants, recreation areas, but most importantly, housing. In these buildings, people can create new, relatively autonomous communities. These communities are built in undeveloped areas because usually new town projects need a lot of space. They can be built in places without any infrastructure and buildings, just like how it happened in Brasilia and Amere, or in places with existing small towns. Planners made new towns in these places mostly in the UK and in the Eastern Bloc. But why did they build these cities? The main reason is housing shortage. After World War II, there was a huge housing crisis all over Europe due to the damage caused by the bombings and the rapidly growing population. Because of this, local and national governments started investing a lot in housing projects outside the main cities too. One of the major predecessors of the new towns concept was the Garden City, which was an utopistic ideal city first created by Ebenezer Howard. After the Second World War, European countries started to implement these ideas with quite a few modifications, thus creating the New Towns concept. In the United Kingdom, the New Towns Act was the starting point of making this concept reality. Over 20 cities were built in this era, including Telford and Milton Keynes. In the Netherlands, new towns were mainly built in Flevoland on the freshly created polders. People started moving into the area in the 60s, and nowadays the province has over 400,000 inhabitants. Eastern European governments made new towns to fulfill the housing needs of the heavy industrialization. This was a time when cities like Leninváros, today Tiszaújváros, were built. However, governments outside Europe also created new cities for reasons other than the World War. For example, in Brazil, the city of Brasilia was created as a new capital. This is a widespread reason around the globe. Now let's take a look at the pros of the new towns concept. First of all, it's a huge opportunity to create a functional and efficient city using the newest spatial ideas. Second of all, these places include a large amount of homes, which are usually used by the people in need. However, there are a few disadvantages of this concept. For example, an idea will follow the city during its whole life, which means that even if the concept is outdated, it will be the part of the area. That's what happened in Brasilia, a heavily car-dependent city, which is now looked as something to be avoided. Other problems can be mismanagement of public realm, aging infrastructure, and fragmented land ownership. The concept of new towns is still alive and ongoing, with new cities built around the world every year. We must take into consideration the advantages and disadvantages of the projects that use this concept when trying to build new places. But for now, thanks for watching this video about new towns.